Horror Fiends, welcome back. My name is Lexi. I'm with my awesome, devilishly handsome co-host, JR and Ricky Grimes. I also got my cat who won't leave me alone back here, Cole. We are back for the Horror Fiend TV podcast featuring The Last of Us, episode 7, Left Behind. Now, I know we talked about this in the past, guys, where we hate when they put the main characters aside to do a whole storyline. But this one, although very slow burned, it needed to be done. And I understand why. Is it a waste of an episode? I mean, we'll talk about it and we'll find out. Because I know that there's only, 2 left? So with 2 left, and then putting this aside for this, I totally understand. So, as you can see, the episode is called Left Behind. Left Behind is actually the side game to The Last of Us. So they paused on what happened with Joel. That left us on a cliffhanger. So let's talk about it, guys. What were your first impressions, starting with JR, of this Left Behind episode?
Unfortunately, I think this episode was very predictable in what they were trying to accomplish, as far as giving us the backstory of how Ellie got bit. For me personally, I think that could have been held off a little bit longer. I mean, having the vagueness of what happened to her and what she went through to get bit, I think would have been better off in the second season. But you got the backstory of her and Riley and how they were best friends, and Riley became a Firefly while Ellie was still pro FEDRA. I mean, I forgot the name of the guy who was in charge of I guess the school she was at. Was he like a cop or something, or like a dean or something? I forgot his name.
Or general or something.
The Asian guy, right?
Yeah, how he was basically. I mean, he was obviously fond of Ellie and saw a bright future for her.
Yeah.
And then you had to introduce, Riley. I mean, I know this is working because I read a little bit about it. This is working towards eventually, her love interest down the road. But I don't know. For me, I just felt like it was a filler episode that wanted to let us know how she got bit. But I just felt like it could have waited a little bit longer.
All right, Ricky Grimes, what do you think of this first impression of this episode, Left Behind?
I have to agree with JR. I mean, this is the first episode that I don't want to say I was underwhelmed, because I think what was there was good. The problem I had with it just gave me a lot of flashbacks of what I hated about The Walking Dead, where it has all this momentum. You're excited for the next episode, and then it just comes crashing to this halt. And now you got to wait for everything for the next episode. And my problem was, I don't mind that they kind of paused it and introduced Riley a little bit earlier. But a lot of this stuff we already knew, because Ellie told the story. So we know how she got the book. We know the pun book. And, we know about Riley, not to the extent we learned here. But I just think what my problem is, they spent too much time developing that. So we only got Joel, 2 minutes here and 2 minutes at the end. And everything was the story, and it was kind of slow for me. And there's one thing I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say right now before I forget. I don't know what's going on, but the violence is non-existent. There's no gore and I gave it a few episodes. We got 2 left. I don't know if it's HBO, because the reason why they declined Walking Dead was it was too violent. But then again, they had Game of Thrones, which I don't understand. But I played The Last of Us. Obviously, Lexi, you didn't. You know that game is violent. And what it's missing is Joel and Ellie coming across the worst of the worst and fucking them up and surviving. We haven't seen any of that. Now, we know Ellie is on her own now. I thought this episode was going to give us a badass Ellie. That's coming in the next episode. I don't see trailers, but it has to be the next episode. And the fact they made us wait, and that's a Walking Dead tactic right there. I mean, you're excited, then you get a filler episode. And the problem with me was I didn't learn nothing new. What I did know, I got to know more about Ellie and Riley. And I think the performances were top tier, though. The acting between the two, Storm Reed and Bella Ramsey, Oh, so good, and you did feel for the relationship. The way Ellie kept looking at her like a little girl well, not a little girl, but a young teenager with a crush, and they don't know how to really like show that affection towards the other person. And it's just, I don't know, I found that kind of cute. And yeah, it's just all around. I was kind of disappointed. My first episode, I was left like, oh man, but I didn't hate it. I thought it was well made. I just think it was slower than it should have been, and it came at the wrong time. Only 2 episodes left. They got the last two. They got to ramp it up. They got to ramp it up, and I'm looking for that violence. It's there because in the game it's in there, and it's not anywhere near the show so far, which is kind of weird. I'm conflicted, but that's my first impression. So let's talk more about this and let's see where we go.
Now, for me, my first impressions were I feel the same way as you guys, and I play the game the most. Like, I knew that this was going to come up eventually, but the pros and cons to it is, unfortunately, this episode does come not so. How do I say it? You have to beat the Last of Us game to get to the Left Behind mini game, so you don't get this episode until the entire thing's over. And so for them to put it where they put it was actually in the exact spot it should be in. It was predictable, like you guys said. We had to see, like, a part of me, I'm torn in the middle, because a part of me is we have to let viewers of people who haven't seen the game see where Ellie comes from, what her background is, what her story is, and why, because there was a lot of hints in the shows that we have seen where she said, yes, I've killed somebody before. Yes, I have lost somebody before. So this is the filler to that feeling.
Yeah.
So it was needed, but
I agree with that.
I was upset because Left Behind is a split screen game, meaning in the game when Joel is hurt and she has to aid Joel, we get to see her return to the mall. And I probably should have left this for the Easter egg change, but I'm just going to say it now, is we get to see her return to that mall so that she can find medical equipment, the sutures, the bandages, and the health kit. Like, in the game, we got to go back to that mall, and as she's walking through that mall, she's remembering the memories of Riley. So I wish we would have had that equal amount of split screen in the show, so we had a lot more of their story than her aiding Joel. We only, like you said, we only got 2 minutes in the beginning, 2 minutes in the end, and that was it. We didn't get her to, like, I understand, we got the point across of her trying to aid Joel and her basically feeling the feeling of she doesn't want to lose anybody again the way that she did.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people, and I've read reviews, especially from people who hasn't seen it, is they wish they would have saw the what happens at the end, after they were bit, because we obviously know by now that her bite on her Ellie's arm is 3 weeks old, and now way past that because they're 3 months, 6 months in it later down the road right now before Joel gets hurt. But we don't get to see Riley turn. We don't get to see Ellie actually lose her the way that she loses her. But you don't get to see that in the game either. So, unfortunately, so for people that complain about that, you don't see it in the game either. You don't get to see her kill Riley. You don't get her to see her cry over Riley. You don't get her to you don't get to see her mourn or have that grief on her face when she has to do what she has to do to save herself. So I'm definitely torn in the middle on this one. I get why they put it in the way that they put it in, but you left us on a cliffhanger, and I would like to get back to action.
Yeah, that's what I said. They pulled a Walking Dead. They were notorious for that shit.
So now that we're on the subject of Riley and Ellie, what did you guys think of the story, JR?
Before I jump into the story, I think what they should have did, though, to save this episode, if we would have started seeing Ellie's journey to search for the medical stuff, to search for a way to aid Joel, and then you intertwine the flashbacks in between.
That's exactly what you do in Left Behind game.
Yeah,
That's
it
why I
should
was
have been
upset.
like that, definitely, because if you have a part where she's questioning herself, you could go back in the past. So you could be jumping back and forth throughout this whole episode, which I think would have worked better. But as
Right.
far as the
And
relationship between both of them, I mean, it worked. Like Rick said, the actress is amazing. I mean, the performance they pulled was very believable. It was really good.
Very natural, yeah.
Yes, you sold the whole pro FEDRA versus anti FEDRA, Firefly versus FEDRA, and just the way, yeah, the way they were thinking separately, even though they were so close. Um, you knew that. For me, I'll be honest, right off the bat, I knew that Ellie had a crush on Riley before. I mean, you just knew right off the bat that there was something there. Even the minute Riley snuck into her room, yeah, it was already there. All the writing was on the wall, so it didn't surprise me. I was kind of expecting it to happen, but yeah, I mean, the fact that here's Riley, who's basically on her last night, you know, near the zone because she's off to, I think, was it Philadelphia or Atlanta? She was off to Atlanta.
Yeah, she was relocating him.
Yeah, because they had a mission for her down there, and then Ellie doing everything to make the night good in a way, but at the same time constantly questioning Riley's motives, especially when she's seen the pipe bombs. That was a scene that was intense, and basically, it drove them apart and drove them back together, and then lo and behold, they get bit because of it.
which I kind of liked that pipe bomb part because that's not in the game. But I liked it was more motivation towards why Ellie's so upset.
Yeah, because here's Riley lying to her. I don't kill no, I don't kill nobody. Just protect. But in reality, she's doing whatever Marlene tells her to do, regardless. Well, yeah, I mean, I thought that the relationship was interesting. The way it was building, the thing that Riley was the 5 wonders she wanted to show her. I mean, not for nothing.
I like that though. I did like that.
Yeah.
Dude, not for nothing. I would have stood in that mall the whole time, man. Why are you gonna go anywhere else, man?
Imagine being a kid and seeing that the arcade light up like that for the first time after only hearing about it.
I'd be sitting there playing Mortal Kombat the whole time, man. And the funny thing, Daytona, USA, I remember going to FYE in the mall when it was just an arcade. Everybody killed that game.
I played that recently at Dave & Buster's, bro. I had to. I love that game.
That game's still awesome. But yeah, I mean, it was a good storytelling as far as the relationship building between Riley and Ellie, and the conclusion of what happens, and the basically what's what I'm looking for, the reveal of how she got bit, even though you knew it was coming.
Right. So, what did you think of the story between Riley and Ellie, Ricky?
I did like this. I like the story. I did like their story a lot. And I think the reason why they didn't go back and forth with the split screen or is because they knew they had the actress Storm Reed for that one episode, and they wanted to utilize her as much as possible.
That makes sense.
And I did like the fact that at the end they didn't show it, like what happened to both of them. They kind of just made that pact, we're gonna die together, and that's even more tragic that Riley died on her own and Ellie actually didn't. And it makes you think, wow, like, what was her reaction when that happened? So I like they kind of left that up in the air for your imagination. But yeah, I love the chemistry between the two of them. I love Ellie. Like every time she saw the phone booth, the photo booth, even the escalator. Well, that was annoying the hell out of me. But a kid would act like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and everything about it. The carousel, like it's just her. She was filled with so much wonder and excitement for the first time, and I love that. My problem is they spent too much time getting there, and then when they show that one stalker, was it a stalker, right?
Mm-hmm. Stalker.
When they got up and all of a sudden the camera's panning, you got the ominous music, and I'm like, okay, now it starts. But they would be like 20 minutes later, then he shows up. Like, oh my god, they should have kept building that more and more and more. But knowing he's out there kind of did add to like the intensity, of what's going to happen. Like you're on the edge of your chair, like, oh my god, can this guy just attack already? I can't take this anymore. But yeah, and I'm really tired of people getting bit in this show though, and then not showing it. Every time someone gets bit, it's always off camera. Then they gotta look. They pull up a sleeve or something. Walking Dead did that a lot near the end. Again, the stuff I hated for Walking Dead, they're bringing it to this show. early, and I want to see people really get bit. Like when people get bit, they got like the fungus all in them. I want to see what that looks like when they actually get bit. You know what I mean? They don't show any of that.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like they just pull up a sleeve and like they're all infected already. And they did that with Tess. They did it with who was it? The kid Sam. Now they did it with Riley and Ellie. Is like, all right, guys, come on. Can we see some violence? Like, are they afraid or they can't show? I don't understand what it is. I think the most gruesome scene we had was with Perry, and that was in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a little worried, man. Not gonna lie, man. Next episode, now, Lexi, you know what I'm getting at.
I mean,
I
yeah.
can't say anything, but if there is no violence in that one, now we got problems because this is when shit picks up. This is
Right. And you got to be proud of me, Rick. I did not watch the trailer. It took everything inside me not to watch it.
You watch the next episode, it's gonna be way better for you.
And really, now that we're gonna get, and I'm gonna assume, just knowing the game, that we're gonna get right back where we left off at the cliffhanger, and from there on out, like we only have 2 episodes left. It's about to go down. It's gonna get crazy.
It has to.
And I'm not gonna go further than that. And it better, pay off because it's gonna I just hope, with season 2 coming out and already locked in, I hope that we get the action that we want, and it's gonna leave us with a cliffhanger.
I have faith in them. I
do.
Yeah,
but as far as Riley and Ellie, the story, this is the pro to the whole episode, is their love for one another. I mean, it started as friends, obviously. I love that they had that moment where, she felt like her friend was either dead or, ran away or something. And then she ended up returning. And there was, and maybe I'm nitpicking, but there was a line I was waiting for in this episode where Riley said, the only person that's going to keep me here is you. And so I was waiting for that line, but that's just me nitpicking.
That's in the game?
Yeah, that's in the game. But the whole scene of the 5 wonders, like, it was just a wonderful moment, like their date almost, if you think about it. They're on a date.
That.
Yeah. And it's so obvious that they have love for one another. They're just trying to feel each other out. They don't know when or how they're going to express their feelings, but Riley's way was to show her the night of her life, which she said many times, and Ellie didn't know, should I kiss her now? Like, there was moments I could tell she was about to kiss her, and she just kind of backed out. Listen, but she was also still mad.
Real quick, it's the subtle things, like when Ellie's looking at the lingerie, and Riley's like, "Come on, let's go." Right before she leaves, she like looks over at Riley,
checking at herself. She's like,
she fixes her hair. Little things like that. I like that.
Yeah, and even with Riley, she noticed Ellie, like, especially at the arcade part, she was just like, "This is the best night of my life." Yeah. And then she's just looking at her like, God, she's beautiful. Like, she just has those gazing eyes towards Ellie. So, you had those vibes. Every scene with, I kind of almost want to go ahead and dig into the Easter eggs. It's killing me. But
go for it if you want.
I mean, it's the next one.
Go for
so anyways, the 5 wonders were exact on. The newest ones were the escalator, and the escalator scene was a new wonder. It was 4 wonders. I don't remember if they gave us a 5th
escalator one. Was a wonder? I don't remember.
No, they didn't count the escalator in the game. I could be wrong.
No, I mean in the show. Did Riley say that was one of the wonders, the escalator?
Yeah, she's like, we're here for the 4 wonders, and she's like, is this, when she was on the escalator, she was like, is this a wonder? She goes, I mean, we can make 5 wonders.
Yes, that's what it was. Yeah.
So but for Ellie, who's grown up in FEDRA and can't leave her area, and she's in soldier school, basically FEDRA school, and she's on a strict time limit and stuff, so she doesn't get to see all the things kids should be excited for in a normal world. So for her to have those actual reactions to the escalator, to the merry-go-round, to the photo booth,
Mortal Kombat 2, baby.
Mortal Kombat. Yes, it just made me happy because it made me see that she's still a kid. She still has that kid at heart vibe, and that's how kids
I
should be.
enjoyed
And
that.
it's sad that the world that they're living in, and they have to go up against. But I mean, in a world like that, FEDRA or Firefly, like they're training their people to fight back. I mean, you have to start them young. So I get it, especially the scene behind JR, the best scene.
You know what? If the last wonder is a Halloween store, oh, I'm
I think it was
all.
the
Oh yeah.
last wonder.
So yeah,
I'm
in
all
the
in.
game, I remember this scene in the game, and so the whole time I was watching it with my family, I was like, "Get to the Halloween store! Get to the Halloween store!" Because I mean, why go anywhere else?
The Halloween store looked just like the store from Terrifier 2. Oh, man.
Oh, it does.
What is
Yeah.
the Halloween store?
It's at the same mall. So yes, on to Easter eggs and changes. Ricky, did you notice any before I start splatting them all out?
No, because like I said, I know of the DLC. I knew of Riley. I knew of their fates, but I did not play the game. So Easter eggs are one of my head.
So one of the ones was the motor combat scene, where they're in the arcade. I don't remember exactly what happens. I don't know if they didn't have coins. They couldn't break into the coin thing like Riley did in the show. I can't remember exactly, but they weren't able to get it to work. But Riley couldn't get the game worked for Ellie. And she's like, I guess we can't play it. She goes, yeah, we can. Close your eyes. She's like, what? No, close your eyes. And so Riley's actually describing, okay, and she plays I believe Ellie plays the same character in the game as she does in the series. What's his name with that straw hat on?
Raider?
Yeah, Raider. And so
Raider.
go figure. But Ellie has her, her eyes closed. She has the joystick, the buttons, and Riley's on the side of her just describing, and they're pretending. And so it's a really sweet moment. Like she gave her the time of her life and like in the game, you better hit those things on point, because then you're going to lose for real on the
when I saw Riley pull up some fatalities, I'm like, how the fuck she learned that shit? How hard those are sometimes.
Yeah. But I do like that they actually get to play together instead of just having to pretend and imagine it. But it is a sweet moment, and that is the change in that scene. Other than that, the 5 wonders were basically same, except the escalator was new. But the one other change was in the game of Left Behind, they end up like, I don't know if it was a shoe store or a clothing store, but the table that they're standing on now behind JR, it was not in the Halloween store. It was outside the Halloween store. And they put on, before they put on the music from the Walkman. So it was a music store, because I do remember they found the radio and they stuck the Walkman tape into that stereo. And that's how the music started playing in the building.
Let me ask you a quick question. The Left Behind DLC, so it's everything in the mall, right?
Yeah.
Do you fight anything in there, or what's the gameplay like?
So,
I mean, because only one infected in this.
Right, and that's what makes me upset. That's the con, is the split screen. You get more of the fighting on where she's looking for the medic.
Right, got you.
Whereas we're just getting their story, and Yep. So that's why I was upset. And I was like, damn, like JR said before, like I wish they would have showed more of her fighting for her life, trying to get medical equipment for Joel. But at the same time, she had the flashbacks going on, which was the Left Behind story with Riley. So yes, you do get action. And she's going up and down the escalator fighting for her life on the medical equipment side.
That's pretty cool.
So, and I guess a helicopter crashed into the mall. And so the medical equipment is actually on that helicopter. And then she has that moment where she goes in the helicopter and the whole thing falls. But she ends up passing out, wakes up, and the thing is still in her arms. The medical equipment ends up saving Joel. That table that they're dancing on is outside the Halloween store. And they were actually playing Nerf guns, and they had to challenge each other in the game. Oh, whoever gets soaked first loses, and if I win, you get a kiss. And if you lose, and that's how that happens.
Okay.
So, but I love the way they did it in the series. Is in the Halloween store as a horror, fiend. That's the best.
Oh man,
That's
I saw that store, bro. I know JR. I know you.
No,
When,
definitely.
when I saw that store, I'm like, yo.
yes. I was waiting for the
Nice.
Halloween scene, and those are the exact masks that they wear in the Left Behind game
No doubt,
episode.
no doubt.
So I mean, I love how that they have the mask spot on too. Like everything in the mall was spot on, from the merry-go-round, the photo booth, the escalators, the Halloween store. Everything was spot on. It just wasn't enough split screen for me, is what makes me mad about this episode. I wanted more of the medical side too. I wanted it. If you're gonna go for it and interrupt the cliffhanger, fucking play the whole thing. And we didn't get to see the medical side, because on the medical side, you do fight for your life. Ellie does. And you get to play her, and you get to see what she had to go through to save Joel. So our closing thoughts, what are you guys hoping to see, or what do you think you're going to expect next, or what's up? Tell me, guys. JR.
Well, to go back to one thing Rick said about the stalker, I think it would have been better if the minute they turned on the power in the mall, they should have showed where the stalker was. That way you have that whole buildup throughout their whole date that this thing is lingering behind them, instead of showing it when they're in the middle of a fight.
Yeah.
If they would have showed it before, that would have made the scene this one episode a little bit better, because now you got the whole. You're anxious to see when it shows up. It was kind of cheesy when it showed you, like, really right now.
That's like
I forgot to mention the stalker is actually on the medical side in the split screen. It's not on this Riley story side, so that is another change.
Now, as far as what I'm looking forward to, I mean, I know the Raiders are lingering. I mean, they keep throwing little hints on the Raiders, so I know they're coming, and hopefully.
You think it's the same guys that Joel got into that beef with, that stabbed Joel? Think it's a different group?
I think it's a different group. I think those guys are more scavengers than anything, not pure Raiders. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing. I mean, definitely you need Joel back in this episode, because those 4 minutes, as good as they were just 4 minutes. And then see how what Ellie has to go through to save him, because that's what everybody's looking forward to, is like, what does she have to go through and what's waiting for her out there that she has to survive in order to help him.
What I did like about that scene with the Joel, his last couple minutes, was when Ellie came back for him. The fact that before that, Joel pushed her out, pushed her back, telling her go back to Tommy, just go. And he pushed her, like literally, like she went back and everything. And that look on his face, like he didn't want to do it, but he has to. He's got to save her. And when Ellie came back, just when he held her hand, almost as if like saying, "Wow, you came back, thank you." Like, just that little piece of acting, man, is like, holy shit. Like these two characters, like Pedro and Bella, has great chemistry right now.
Yeah, they do.
And I wanted to bring that up for that. And my closing thoughts is going to be pretty much the same as JR. Also, when you mentioned the stalker showing him early, 100% I agree. It's like a Quentin Tarantino method. You show the ticking time bomb early. Well, Tarantino didn't invent this, but this is where I came across it. You show it early, and you keep building onto it, knowing it's there, but everything is, nonchalant. But in the back of your mind, there's something waiting to explode. And that's what I wanted, more of that. And they just showed him once, and that was it. You never really got no foreshadowing or nothing like that. But other than that, I'm looking forward to some action, violence, and I want Ellie to step up and be the killer that she is. It's time. It's only 2 episodes left. It's only 2. And my biggest gripe with this one, it's not that they introduced Riley. It's not that they did the flashback. I liked all of it. I just think they spent way too much time on that. And I think they could have broke it up a bit better. But I'm looking forward to a banger of an episode next week.
Yeah. My closing thoughts. I liked their story. I mean, who doesn't love Riley and Ellie? And we said a few episodes back about the pun book. I think, what was that, episode 2 or 3? The pun book coming out where she was reading to Joel and annoying him. I said someone special gave it to her, and this was the someone special, Riley. So I love that they put the pun book in her hands, because they do that in Left Behind game. Yes, they spend way too much time on this, I wish they would have did the split screen a little better. I wanted to see the medical side where she was fighting, and she had to look through so many stores just to get to the broken helicopter sticking out of the ceiling, and clickers are everywhere chasing her. Like, she had mad clickers come, and she had to fight for her own life.
Yeah.
So like, we had so much action on that side, and we didn't get to see any of that. So I am upset about that, and it's a waste of time. But what we did get, it was great. I'm ready to move on. I'm done with the romance. I want to get into the action. I want to see more clickers, stalkers, bloaters. I want to see it all. And what I know is coming next, without even having to watch the trailers, that's what I'm expecting. I'm hoping to see a certain somebody enter into this and make it a game changer. But overall, good episode. Ready to move the fuck on. Let's get some action out of this, because I'm falling asleep. I don't want any more romance. I'm done crying.
For once, I understood what JR meant, the whole like picking up your phone while you're watching something.
Yes.
No, I was like, holy, wait a minute, this is dragging. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yes.
But yeah,
but the part
let's
you
get
said
ready for the
about
next one.
Joel, like, that part made me put a few tears out with the hand holding between him and Ellie.
That was
So
nice.
beautiful.
Nice moment.
Yeah. And it's crazy because she found the medical equipment in the building they were in, which is not how she found it. So, but it's okay. Whatever.
Well, it was, what was it, like it was just yarn and like a needle. It wasn't like something like you could find
She
that
found a whole ass medical kit in the game.
Man, with no alcohol or anesthetic or nothing. Yeah, would you want patching you up like that?
I know.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
My man.
All right. So that's our closing thoughts. That is another episode 7 of The Last of Us.
Yeah. Wow,
my
7.
name is Lexi. I got my devilishly handsome co-host, JR, Ricky Grimes, and our little new co-host friend, Cole. He passed out. He slept on this episode. He's like, yeah, let's move it on. But yes, come back for episode 8. I am so excited to talk about that one. Alrighty. Until next time. Peace.
Peace.